Okay, the Star Citizen community is in flames because CIG released a bad ship. I don't think the claims are entirely off base, but as with most things on the internet, they're a bit overblown. We have the Crusader Intrepid. It is a starter ship from Crusader Industries that has 8 SCU of cargo, 1 size 3 weapon hardpoint, and an ugly face. A few things we need to recapture here is that this is a starter ship, meaning it is not supposed to be particularly good at anything. Rather, a starter ship is defined by its ability to be mediocre at lots of things. If you're a cargo trader, 8 SCU is not a lot, but at some future date when box missions aren't terrible, it's enough to get you started. And with the new cargo missions, it's enough to get your feet wet there as well. A starter ship is not a fighter and shouldn't be compared to one. Its ability to do low-level bounty missions is a great way for new players to learn mechanics and understand how a dedicated fighter can help them do better. It's not a racer either. It's not supposed to be super nimble or fast. A starter ship, by all counts, should sit right in the middle of everything, and I think it does that just fine. Ironically, it feels like just yesterday, players were complaining about how every new ship introduces more power creep. So when CIG releases a ship that is unimpressive across all metrics, then they complain that it doesn't sweep them off their feet. Here's a thought. You are not supposed to like every ship. In fact, there should be a healthy pool of ships you do not care about at all. Going further, there should be ships that you don't mind seeing NPCs fly almost exclusively. Let's bring this back to reality. I drive a Ford Focus hatchback. The ubiquity of the Ford Focus makes it blend into the environment and you never really pay it much attention. On the flip side, when a snazzy sports car zips on by, it tends to get attention. There's obvious differences in the cost, performance, and appeal of such cars that make them both desirable and unattainable for most people. The problem is that in Star Citizen, everyone has a nice car. You might have strong opinions about Misk, Drake, or other brands, but so far every ship has enough of a base to feel loved. We need more freak shows in the lineup. We need what is essentially the Pontiac Aztec of Star Citizen. Right now, it's not uncommon to see Carracks, 890Js, Caterpillars, and many other top-tier ships, but that is not consistent with reality. Most people are driving something they can afford, and that's it. As CIG comes ever closer to creating a living, breathing universe, it has a growing need for objectively ugly ships too. In fact, if you think about a lot of other games you'll have played through the years, you usually start off in something that looks bad, knowing that it gets better. Additionally, games with NPCs will often have them wearing low-tier armor or using off-meta weapons or vehicles. Having a wide base of low-tier items is how you can make your players stand out. Take Skyrim for instance. You start off with very base level armor, and as you progress you can specialize into different builds with wildly different aesthetics. And this is standard fare for RPGs and MMOs alike. Star Citizen is different in that because it is crowdfunded, every ship produced has been made to sell somehow. Every ship needs to represent the bleeding edge in some way to entice players to buy it. In reality, most ships ought to be pretty average and uninspired. I'll even go so far as to say that CIG could stand to release a wide assortment of ships that never get every feature available. This should be communicated clearly to players, but it stands to reason that there should be tiers of ships that are intentionally bad. We can think of these as NPC ships. We'll find these as wreck sites for salvage or combatants in low-tier missions. Players would be uninterested in these ships and they'd be very common sights due to the NPCs that use them. You might find yourself stuck using one after a session goes horribly wrong and you have no ships left of your own. Basically, Star Citizen is filled with Corvettes, Ferraris, Porsches, and Lamborghinis. We need more Aztecs, Saturns, Multiplas, and Cygnets. I'm not thrilled with the Intrepid, and I don't plan to get one. Guess what? That's okay. In fact, CIG needs a lot more ships like the Intrepid. Hopefully, this becomes the first of many ships made that do not sell well and are not intended to. Here's a few ideas to get CIG started on fleshing out a wider base of bad ships. In no particular order: no weapons at all, no shields to speak of, bespoke super slow quantum drive, Campbell's soup can with terrible visibility, massive cargo ship with no cargo doors, permanently imbalanced torque ship, can't leave the atmosphere or a basic airplane, bunch of cutlass engines stapled together. These aren't ships intended for players, they're set dressing for the environment. They exist for us to interact with, but not for us to want them. If every ship CIG sells is perfect, then all ships stand out less. Those are my thoughts. I think the Intrepid is fine, but what do you think? Let me know down in the comments below, and until next time, this is Odd Job Entertainment, signing off.